we'll understand how we can take the Azure file shares backup and restore. So within the Azure storage account, we would see one major component called as file shares. So where we can connect the multiple virtual machines, where we can connect the file share to the multiple virtual machines. So could be like a roaming profiles, could be an ISO images, or could be an application data can be stored into the Azure file shares. But what happens? Something goes wrong. Someone deletes the file from an Azure file share, and someone deletes an Azure file share itself in Azure portal. Then what kind of an options we have available to restore the file share? So we have a storage account. Within the storage account, we'll have the file shares. We can have multiple file shares, and the backup can be enabled at the individual file share level to the recovery services vault. And based on the policy, like in whether the backup has to be happen at every 4 hours of time or 6 hours of time or like that, or a daily basis, the Azure recovery services vault will take the backup into that. So when we go on, when we see here during the creation of and I have the storage account, and during the creation of the file share, so I go to the file shares. I don't see any file share. So when I create a file share, I'm just giving it an acute file share. And next backup. So during the creation of the file share itself, we can choose to enable the backup. And we can see called as select an existing recovery services vault, or you can create a new recovery vault. I'm selecting an existing recovery vault. And the backup policy, as we can see, backup frequency every 4 hours, starting at and retention of daily backup point for 7 days of time. So I can create my own backup policy based on my requirement, whether hourly I can say that every 4 hours or 6 hours of time, or I can say called as in a daily every day at a specific time. So based on that, again, you can configure the daily backup point retention policies, again, weekly backup point and monthly and yearly based on the criticality of the data and compliance requirements. Okay. So this is one option where during the creation of the file share, we can enable the backup. So I'm just going to the another storage account where I have the a file share already, a backup is being enabled. So we have a file share called as an acute file share. And as we go into the operations, we would see a backups. So I would see here now there are 3 backups happened. Okay. And last backup success is at 5:50 p.m. Based on requirement, we can configure it. If it is a daily basis, we would see a daily one backup. If it is an as we configured as an 4 hours backup, it is basically taking every 4 hours of time. Now, so I want to restore. Now, when I go to the an Azure virtual machine and I see a shared folder connected to this particular VM and having some kind of a personal data. So I'm deleting this folder just for testing purpose. So I don't have anything in the even recycle bin. Now I deleted the data which is existing in the file share. Now we want to restore this particular one. So let's go to the Azure file share. We can see called as a Restore Azure or a file recovery, both are same. So we can restore to the same storage file share account, or we can restore to a different file share account based on need to need basis. Now, as I deleted the files in the original file share, we can restore to the original file share account. For some reasons, for testing purpose or anything, we want to restore the backup to an alternative file share, we can do that. So I'm just going to the file share and backup, then we can see called as a Restore Azure. Select the restore point. That is a backup. From which backup you want to restore it. So I have 3 backups available. I'm selecting the latest one. And here we can see original location, alternate location. So when you go to the original location, it is going to restore the data to the same file share, to the same path. Okay. And if there are already files which are existing, do you want to skip that files or do you want to overwrite that file? If we want to restore to the alternative location, to an alternate storage account, then we can choose it. We can see storage account and I can select the file share, uh, an alternate file share. It is not existing in this one. Then it's going to restore to a different file share. Or within the same file share, also we can create or restore to an alternative location. So when we use the same file share and using an alternative location within that particular file share, it is going to create this particular folder. So within this particular folder, it is going to restore the data. So I'm selecting alternate location, but even though I selected an alternate location, but I'm using the same storage account and the same file share. So click on restore. It would take some couple of minutes of time. So now the restoration initiated. So I'm going to the Windows machine where there is my file share. And we can see within that file share, it took this particular folder. Within this particular folder, it restored my data, which I deleted the folder. Okay. So based on need to need basis, you can restore either to the original location or alternate location. So sometimes you might already have your files in the original location and not to overwrite them and for the benefit of basically safety purpose. If you want to restore the alternative location, then we can restore. So this way you can back up an Azure file share and restore the files from the recovery services vault